She lives across from you, I say. He says that he thinks she has just moved in. Nothing like meeting new neighbors, I say. In the back of the refrigerator, behind wrinkled carrots and jars of pickled onions and horseradish, I find a bottle of butterscotch sauce. I didn't buy this, I tell Jack over the phone. Who bought this? My father's diabetic. I know your father's diabetic, he says. I've known Jack for 7 years. Nikki has been married for 3 months now. He was in Ankara on an archaeological day when they broke up, only he didn't know they broke up until he got back to New York. She called and told him that she was engaged. She invited him to the wedding and then disinvited him a few weeks later. I was invited to the wedding too, but instead I went to New York and spent the weekend with Jack. We didn't sleep together. Saturday night, which was when Nikki was supposed to be getting married, we watched an episode of Baywatch in which the actor David Hasselhoff almost marries the beautiful blonde lifeguard. But in the end doesn't, because he has to go save some tourists whose fishing boat has caught fire. Then we watched Princess Bride. We drank a whole lot of scotch and I threw up in Jack's sink and while he stood outside the bathroom door and sang a song he had written about Nikki getting married. When I wouldn't come out of the bathroom, he said goodnight through the door. I cleaned up the sink and I brushed my teeth and I went back to sleep on a lumpy fold-out futon. I dreamed that I was in Nikki's bridal party. Everyone was blonde in my dream. The bridegroom, the best man, the mother of the bride, the flower girl, everyone looked like Sandy Duncan except for me. In the morning I get up and drove my father's car back to Virginia and my father's garage. And Jack went to work at Video Art, where he has a part-time job which involves technical videos about beauty school and the Gulf War and things like that. He mostly edits, but once I saw his hands on a late-night commercial dialing the number for our video calendar featuring exotic beauties, women, not flowers, I almost ordered the calendar. I haven't spoken to Nikki since before Jack went to Turkey and she got engaged. When I first moved to my father's garage, I got a job at the textile mill where my father has worked for the last 20 years. I answered phones, I listened to men tell jokes about blondes. I took home free packages of men's underwear. My father and I pretended we didn't know each other. After a while, I had all the men's underwear that I needed. I knew all the jokes by heart. I told my father that I was going to take a sabbatical from my sabbatical for just a while. I was going to write a book. I think that he was relieved. Jack calls me up to ask me how my father's doing. My father loves Jack. They write letters to each other a couple times a year in which my father tells Jack how I'm doing and who I'm dating. These tend to be very little short letters. Jack sends articles back to my father about religion, insects, foreign countries where he has been digging things up. My father and Jack aren't very alike. Very much alike. At least I don't think so. But they like each other. Jack is the son of the father. Jack is the son that my father never had. The son-in-law he will never have. I asked Jack if he has to run into his new neighbor, the blonde, again. And there's a brief silence. He says, yeah, he has. She knocks on his door a few days later at the bar, a cup of sugar. That's original, I say. He says that she didn't seem to recognize him, so he didn't bring it up. He says that he's noticed that there seems to be an unusually high percentage of blonde women in this apartment building. Let's run away to Vegas, I say, on impulse. He says, why Las Vegas? We could get married, I say, and the next day we could get divorced. I always wanted an ex-husband, I tell him. It will make my father very happy. He makes a counter-proposal. We could go to New Orleans and not get married. I point out that we've already done that. I say that maybe we should try something new, but in the end we decide that he should come to Charlottesville in May. I'm going to give a reading. My father would like Jack to marry me, but not necessarily in Las Vegas. The time we went to New Orleans, we stayed up awake all night in the lobby of a hostel, playing cards with a girl from Finland. Every time that Jack took a heart, no matter what was in his hand, no matter whether or not someone else had taken a point, he tried to shoot the moon. We could have done it, I think. We could have fallen in love with New Orleans, but not in front of the girl from Finland, who was blonde. A year later, Jack found an ad for tickets to Paris. $99 round trip. This was while we were still in school. We went for Valentine's Day because that was one of the conditions of the promotional fare. Nikki was spending a semester in Scotland. She was studying mad cow disease. They were sort of not seeing each other while she was away, and in any case, she was away. And so I went with Jack to Paris for Valentine's Day. Isn't it romantic? I say. We're going to be in Paris for Valentine's Day. Maybe we'll meet someone, Jack said. I lied. We didn't go to Paris for Valentine's Day, although Jack really did find the ad in the paper, and the tickets really were only $99, round trip. We didn't go, he didn't ever ask me. Anyway, Nikki came home later that month, and they got back together again. We did go to New Orleans, though. I don't think I made that up. I realized that there's a problem with Las Vegas, which is that there are a lot of blonde women there. You're probably wondering why I'm living in my father's garage. My father's probably wondering why I'm living in his garage. It worries his neighbors. Jack calls to tell me that he's quitting his job at Video Art. He's gotten some grant money which will not only cover the rest of the school year, but he will also allow him to spend another summer in Turkey, taking things up. I tell him that I'm happy for him. He says that another weird thing happened when he went to pick up his last paycheck. He got into an elevator with 7 blonde women who all looked like Sandy Duncan. They stopped talking when he got on, and the elevator was so quiet that he could hear them all breathing. He said that they were all breathing in perfect unison. He says that all their bosoms were rising and falling in unison, like they had all been running, like some sort of synchronized Olympic breast event. He says that they all smelled wonderful, that the whole elevator smelled wonderful, like a box of Lemon Fresh Joy soap detergent. He got off on the 13th floor and they all stayed on the elevator, although he was telepathically communicating with them that they should all get off with him, that all 7 of them would spend the day with him. That they could all go to the Central Park Zoo. It would be wonderful. But not a single one got off, although he thought they all looked wistful when he did. He stood in the hall and the elevator door closed, and he watched the numbers in the elevator finally stop on the 45th floor, the top floor. After he picked up his paycheck, he went all the way up to the 45th floor. And this is a strange thing, he says. He says that when the elevator doors opened and they got out, the 45th floor was completely deserted. There was plastic up everywhere, and drills and cans of paint and bits of molding lying on the floor. Like the whole top floor was being renovated. A piece of the ceiling had been removed, and they could see the girders in the sky through the girders. All the office doors were open, and so he walked around, but he says he didn't see anyone. Anyone at all. So where did the women go, he says. Maybe they were construction workers, I say. They didn't smell like construction workers, he says. If I say that some of my friends are 2/3 water, then you'll probably realize that some of them aren't. But some of them are probably more than, and some are probably less than 2/3 water. Or maybe some of them are 2/3 something besides water, or maybe some of them are 2/3 lemon fresh joy. When I say that some women are probably blondes, you'll realize that I'm probably not. I'm probably not in love with Jack. I've been living in my father's garage for a year and a half. My bed is surrounded by boxes of Christmas tree ornaments, his and boxes of college textbooks, mine. We're pretending that I'm writing a novel. I don't pay rent. The novel will probably be dedicated to him. So far, I've finished the dedication page in the first 3 chapters. Really, what I do is sleep late until he goes to work, and then I walk 3 miles downtown to the dollar store, the Dollar Movie Theater. That used to be a porn theater. The used bookstore where I stand and read trashy romance novels in the aisle. Sometimes I go to the coffee house where, in a few months, I'm supposed to give a reading. The owner is a friend of my father's and gives me coffee. I sit in the window and write letters. I go home, I fix dinner for my father, and then sometimes I write. Sometimes I watch TV. Sometimes I go out again. I go to bars and play pool with men I couldn't possibly bring home to my father. Sometimes I bring them back to his garage instead. I lure them home with promises of free underwear.